And live, here we are. Oh my goodness me! So, all right, on Clubhouse, just take the volume down so that we don't hear it in the area, and we're done. Oh my goodness me! It's the first time, I was telling you before, first time that I interview people that, I mean, I say Iran, but I mean, Maz, you live in US, Arash and Katy, I don't know, you are in Italy. And I'm an Italian in Brighton. So it's like Maz, it's the beginning of a joke if someone sees us for,
Yeah, we all escaped our motherlands and we're meeting online. This is it. This is the modern world. That's how it works. Doesn't matter where you are. We're all together on a computer.
Crazy. And where are you, Maz, exactly?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay. Well, are you in lockdown or are you free now?
No, we're kind of free now. We were locked down for a while, and we've been freer and freer. As a matter of fact, I've been doing stand-up. It's interesting because last year this time there was all the shows, were cut off. There was no shows, so it was all Instagram Live, Zoom, this, that, the other. Now we're so close to feeling, because people are getting their shots and things are starting to open up to the point where this week alone, I have something like 12 shows I'm doing throughout Los Angeles, and they're mostly outdoor. I did one last night at an airport in front of an airplane.
Oh my goodness.
It's everywhere. Dappertutto.
Crazy. But do you do like a test before entering the show? You just wear a mask? How does it work?
No, you and I were talking earlier about how America is such a crazy, divided country. And I'm sure every country nowadays with all the craziness. But America in particular, you go to a show and everyone is supposed to be masked. But you can look out and there's so last night, I'll tell you, for example, last night, the first show at the airport, in front of the airplane, people sitting, maybe like 30, 40 people outdoors, masked. It was cold, but they had their jackets. They're listening to the rules. The second show I did last night was in Pasadena at an Armenian restaurant. The Armenians, I don't think they even know there's a pandemic. They were inside smoking the hookah. They're eating the food. They're looking at me. They're smoking cigarettes. I'm going, do you guys know there's a pandemic? Put on your goddamn masks. And they're all just like, hey, tell the joke. So it's everywhere's different.
Crazy. I live in Brighton, and Brighton is a country basically inside UK. We have the biggest gay pride in Europe, and is a very libertarian, vegan. I've interviewed Moby the other day, and he's for animal rights and vegan. And when I say Brighton, they say, "Oh, Brighton, we have the vegan shoes shop." So. And the other day, on Monday, they opened it up after basically 3.5 months of lockdown. And it was crazy, like crazy. I'd never seen so big, so massive queues in front of horrible pubs that you never go in your life, but people queuing for, 3 hours to get the worst beer in the universe. I don't know. Human beings are weird.
People are desperate because it's been the whole year. I mean, listen, when you go back a year and you think about what we were doing, I was just thinking there's so much has happened in this past year. The lockdown, the elections, Black Lives Matter, this, that, the other. So you think about it, you go, oh my God, that was a year ago. I was telling on stage last night, I said, guys, a year ago, before the pandemic started, let's say January, I was doing shows, sold out shows. February, still some good shows. And I thought to myself, this is 2020. I go, 2020 is going to be a great year. Then suddenly March hits, lockdown. And there's videos of me on my, on my phone where I'm going, guys, Maz Jobrani here. I have to postpone my shows for March. I'll see you at the end of April. And then, we thought it was going to be a month. Then April comes. Guys, it's April. I got to move it to May. The third time. It's May. Now I'm crying in the videos. I got to get out of my house. They keep postponing the shows. So people are desperate. And you see it. People want to go out. People want to get out there. And like you said, they go to even horrible pubs.
To the supermarket. There is a shopping center here, which is really horrible. I mean, the queue was ridiculous in front of shops that you never went in your life, and now you stay there and say, "Oh, I'm gonna get this DVD or VHS tape." What are you talking about? Crazy. But Maz, I'm curious about Arash and Katy. How do you know Maz? By the way, Maz, you are a superstar in US. I also watched a TED talk the video that you did years ago, not a TEDx, just to remind people listening, it's a proper TED Talk video and interview with some fantastic people, Netflix, I mean, everything, all the package, which is fantastic. And how do you know? How do you know Maz? And Maz, why do you still talking with them now that you are super?
I should tell something. I'm Iranian, of course. I lived in China for many years. I think for 9 years, since 2011, I'm living in China. Actually,
Where?
I'm in Shanghai.
Oh, Shanghai. Ni hao. Zhe. I've been in Shanghai. Incredible,
Really?
technological, very modern city.
Yeah, it's a super cool place. It's a different planet. It's a different world. But how I know Maz? Because, like, of course, everyone knows Maz. All Iranian know Maz. But when I really start to know him more and more, when I got to know Dario, my husband, then how Maz in his jokes start to explain like the people who immigrate to America, that we are Middle Eastern, like how if they put everything together. So it was super cool that how from Maz like eyes, how he sees us, and it was super cool that I start to introduce actually Iran and Persia to my husband, like through the stand-up comedy of Maz. So
okay. Through his jokes. Okay. But you didn't know him, or you already
of course,
knew him
everyone knows Maz. He's super famous in Iran. He's like the number one stand-up comedian, Iranian American.
Come on, Maz.
Yes.
Listen, like Katy's saying, so I'm like the introduction to Persians. So if you want to know about Persians, you got to go on YouTube. You put Maz Jobrani. I introduce you, and then from there you can go marry them, do whatever you want. So that's how it works.
Exactly. He make everything easier.
But the way I met these two beautiful people was on Clubhouse. You know, on Clubhouse, I was doing some shows or something, and then they reached out to me and they said, "Listen, we're a couple of Iranians. We live in Italy." And I was excited because I spent 1 year in college in Italy. And when I was there, I studied at Università di, I was at the L'Università di Padova. And and I was like, when I left, this was 1992. When I left, my girlfriend was Italian. By the way, if she's listening, Orietta Balbo, ciao, come stai? And then
she probably now come on Clubhouse.
Yeah,
Orietta Balbo, we waited for you, Orietta.
Exactly. So my girlfriend was Italian. I was writing papers in Italian. So I was fluent in Italian in 1992. So when these guys reached out and they said, "We want to do a room. We're from Italy." I said, "Great, let's do it. We'll do it in Italian." They said, "Sure." And then when the room started, all these Iranians came on. Yeah. So all of a sudden I go, "Now I got to talk Persian. There's no Italian." I go, "You guys tricked me." But now I'm friends with them.
Well, let me explain the first. It wasn't a trick you because we know that Iranians
try to explain that.
Yeah, there are a lot of Iranians living in Italy, and we were expecting them to be our guests. But in the other hand, when Maz joined the Clubhouse room, suddenly our room just exploded and everyone was in the, from everywhere. So we said, well, it's maybe better to continue in Persian. But I promised Maz to have a proper Italian event. And here we are. So still,
I think it's another trick also, Maz, because it ends up having in English.
I know. One of these days, Monty, I'm going to do a show in Italian. Finalmente, I want to do it.
Ma possiamo convertire un po' in italiano se volete.
Testiamo subito Maz in italiano allora. Ma scusami, tu hai mai fatto delle collaborazioni con comici, stand-up comedians italiani o semplicemente sei concentrato sul mercato americano, Stati Uniti?
No, sono concentrato sul mercato Stati Uniti perché sono cresciuto in America e sono più come si dice, comfortable, rilassato. sì, facendo stand-up comedy in inglese. E infatti gli iraniani mi chiedono perché non fai programma in persiano? E dico perché posso parlare persiano, ma non so la lingua così bene che posso fare un spettacolo completamente in persiano. E lo stesso per italiano. Io nel mio mente, nella mia cazzo, penso che no, scusi. testa, scusi, testa, oi oi oi. Vedi?
Questo era esatto, il problema lost in translation.
Ecco i problemi. No, nella mia testa perché nella mia testa penso che nel futuro vorrei andare in Italia e spendere un po' di tempo in Italia e vorrei fare un show in italiano. Sai che per me, quando ero in Italia in 91-92, Roberto Benini ha fatto Gianni Stecchino e io l'ho visto per la prima volta lì e ho pensato ma lui è genio e volevo sempre lavorare con lui. Non è successo, ma chissà.
Assolutamente, se succederà, allora lo facciamo succedere. E effettivamente Benigni poi in Italia è un po' come dire un'icona. Adesso peraltro si vede, ho visto l'ultima volta ha fatto questa cosa, è un declamatore ormai. I don't know how you say in English. He knows all of the Divina Commedia.
Yeah. Intellettuale.
Sì, a memoria sa tutti i versi della Divina Commedia.
È più come un one-man show che stand-up comedy. Sì. Avete in Italia, perché guarda, stand-up comedy è veramente un forma di arte di americano, penso. Non dico che ha cominciato in America, ma dico che i stand-up comediani americani come Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Lenny Bruce, Eddie Murphy, loro, perché in Iran adesso abbiamo stand-up comedy, ma primo avevamo jokes come una persona va in un bar e dice dammi una bevita, ma di stand-up comediani americani sono cominciato a parlare della loro vita, le cose che succedono nella vita. Per esempio, Richard Pryor fumeva crack cocaine e quando fumeva crack cocaine il fuoco ha messo lui in fuoco. So he was on fire.
Oh my
This is veramente. E poi lui è andato sulla palco e ha parlato di questa storia. So he took the story of setting himself on fire and turned it into stand-up comedy. My point is, that's the form of stand-up comedy. So in Italia avete le persone che fanno stand-up comedy così.
So I would say that in Italy for a long period of time, it was just jokes, as you said. We had a very famous show called Zelig, where you had like some funny comedians, and you know, maybe their routine was like 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. It was a very short few jokes, and that's it. And now I would say in the last probably 5 years, you started to see proper stand-up comedians that prepare, you know, a 1.5 hour show. Some of them are on Netflix. We have a very famous one on television with Crozza that does a sort of stand-up comedy show with some politics. And Fiorello was, let's say, stand-up comedian, but more of a host. But if I compare with UK, where we have, you know, Michael McIntyre, Russell Brand, we have so many, and in Brighton they come to test all the shows. It's a different culture because you can go out here in a pub and and you have 10 stand-up comedians that just test, their jokes. And in Italy, it was not like that. But now I think it's getting better. It's an art, better than us. I mean, it's a tough job.
Well, it's an art for the performer, but it's also an art for the audience. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. In America in the 1950s, Lenny Bruce would say some certain words on stage, and they would arrest him, and he'd go to prison, and then or jail, I should say. But we've made so much progress now. You go to a comedy show in America, you can say anything you want. You can make fun of the president. You can make fun of whoever. And the audience, most of the time, doesn't take it personally. Now, I was there in 2007 when I went to the Middle East with a tour called the Axis of Evil Comedy Tour. And we went to 5 countries all over the Middle East, and we would do live stand-up comedy. And there hadn't been stand-up comedy in the Middle East yet. And some people knew how to laugh, but some people would take it personally. Right. So if you're talking to the audience and you say, "Hi, sir, what do you do for a living?" They'd look at you and say, "What's it? It's none of your business." You go, no. You calm down. Calm down. I'm just trying to talk to you, man. And the guy, move on. Next person. Dude, why'd you come to a comedy show if you're going to get so upset? So there's a mentality. And the same thing goes right now for the Iranian community, because there's a lot of Iranians now who will come on, let's say, Clubhouse or Instagram Live. And we, as multilingual comedians, will be just talking in, let's say, Persian. And I don't do shows in Persian, but I'd be talking in Persian, and I'll try to do a joke in Persian. Awesome. And because sarcasm is not as prevalent in the Iranian culture, you say something sarcastic, right? You might say something like, geez, you got such a big nose, it must always arrive to the place before you do, or whatever, you're trying to have fun. And the person will, write you an email on Instagram. "I can't believe you made fun of that guy's nose. That was very rude of you. How dare you? He's been thinking about his nose for his whole life." I'm like, "I got a big nose too. Relax.
We are in the family."
So yeah, the audience needs to learn to also relax and be in the place of the comedy shows.
What do you do, Maz? Yeah, Arash.
Sorry, before continue, I think it's good to invite also Maz and Katie on the panel. So in the Clubhouse, because I know that a lot of people are waiting to join the Maz in the room. So maybe we can add Maz and Katie in the panel if you want.
Do I need to go to the Clubhouse thing? I don't know what.
Yeah, if you join if you go just live in the Clubhouse, so we can also have you on the panel and Katie.
Yeah, too. Conversation with Maz Jobrani Friends.
And Maz Jobrani in the Clubhouse.
Let me see if I can find it. Conversation with.
I'm curious about.
Arash, sorry, can you send me the link, Arash, and I'll just click the link?
Look,
go ahead.
Right now.
And what do you do, Maz, if you do a joke and doesn't land properly? If you do with someone and it doesn't work, what do you do?
I cry. No, that's part of why I told you this week I'm doing 13 sets. So that's why we do. Arash, I'm waiting for it to come. It hasn't come yet.
من پینگت کردم ماز جان، اگه که بری تو بخش نوتیفیکیشنات الان باید لینک بیاد. Operatan که un po' di persiano che così.
Wait, on which app? We have so many apps going. Or did you ping me on?
That looks like this is like a gag that you could use in one of your shows.
Exactly. There's nobody knows. So Arash, I can't find it on Clubhouse. Send me the link on WhatsApp.
Okay, sure.
I'll just hit that.
Well,
this is a joke. You're right. Everywhere you're like, what are we on? I'm still on MySpace.
It's MySpace is the future.
It's the future.
No, what do you do, Maz? If you when you do a joke and it doesn't work, what's your strategy?
Well, that's why we perform 5-10 times a week, because you're working out your material. You're looking for to hone it, to get it right. So if it doesn't work, I've got another set that night. I'm going to tweak it and try it again. If it doesn't work again, I'm going to keep tweaking. Eventually you do several times, it's still not working. You go, you know what? Maybe it was just funny to me. I'll move on. By the way, after 22 years of doing this, I'm comfortable enough when a joke doesn't work. I have some kind of, remark like, okay, well, I guess you guys didn't like that one, you bastards, or whatever. I have fun with them, Like I did this. This is actually, just listen, sometimes you also discover a joke. So I did something. This is something I just added. So I'm going to, hold on. There we go. Okay. And I will say, join as speaker. Thank you, Monty. Sometimes, Monty, I will do a thing where so this was the thing where I discovered there's a laughter I didn't expect. So I talk about how I say when the pandemic happened, I went online to find out if comedians are essential workers. Now, I didn't expect the audience to laugh right there, but they all started laughing. And then I go, you sons of bitches. I go, that's not even the punchline. Because basically they're saying, good luck, comedians aren't going to be essential workers. So that's, the joke was inadvertent, but they laughed. And then the joke continues. So sometimes you stumble into a joke, and sometimes, it doesn't work, and you move on.
And do you have a structure of for your jokes? I watched once on Masterclass. Who was it? Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, yeah.
And he was explaining the way he was building his jokes, the rhythm, and it was very complicated. I was expecting for a very simple explanation, like I do a joke. I think it's fun.
I'll simplify the genius of Steve Martin. Okay, so basically, I'm the layman. I could tell you what he was trying to say. So basically, stand-up comedy, the secret is very easy. Get on stage as much as you can, write as much as you can. And what happens is, as you do it over and over, 5-10 times a week, 5-10 times a week, for 5 to 10 years, eventually, the person who you are off stage gets closer to the person you are on stage. And it starts to diverge to the point where now you're comfortable in your skin. Now you're comfortable. So the rhythms that you're using come from there. That's the rhythms of it. And then what you do is you do your show over and over and over and over again. However, I think I try at least to be present in my environment. And that's actually a muscle I like to use. So I always compare stand-up comedy to boxing. If you're a boxer, you can work the speed bag, you work the heavy bag, you spar a little bit, you work on your endurance. There's a lot of places you can work on to improve yourself. Stand-up comedy, you can work on your writing, you can work on your delivery, your crowd work. There's a lot of stuff you can work on. One of the muscles I love to work is the observation of the place I'm in. I look around while I'm waiting. I just sit there and I go, okay. Because the thing is, we're all in that room together. We're all either seeing the same thing or we're all experiencing the same thing. And if I can go up there and mention that thing, you realize that I'm present with you, and this is a show that's going to be different from my other shows. And I also land in the room. So, for example, I just did a show this past weekend in a place called Desert Hot Springs. The booker told me, listen, it's a resort and spa. I said, okay. I went there. It was like it was like a neighborhood surrounded by crack houses. It was like the word resort was very loosely used. Like it was, it was a disaster. Okay. And I told my wife, because when we first saw it online, my wife goes, it looks like it's kind of run down. I go, babe, this is a 1970s design. We got there. She goes, this looks like 1970s Detroit when they were like killing each other. The neighborhood was horrible, but I'm sitting there in the room looking at the stage, and the way they set up the stage was, here's the stage, and it was like a ballroom at this resort, quote unquote resort, and the stage was here, and there was 4 exit doors right behind me for no reason. Red lights, exit, exit, exit. And I'm sitting there off stage watching. I go, what the hell? Why did they have 4 exit doors? Where did those doors lead to? So the first thing I did when I went on stage, I just started. First of all, I said, look, guys, it was in a ballroom. Everybody's sitting around. I go, this doesn't feel like a comedy show. It feels like a real estate seminar. Like I'm going to teach you how to make a living in real estate. And then I said, why do they have 4 exit doors right here? And people just started laughing from that. And I go, I wonder if, like, if I were doing the real estate seminar, I would say, you too can become a millionaire. Now I want you to walk out this door and start selling. Whatever it was, the jokes doesn't have to be the best. It's just I'm present in the room. Now we go. Now I have my jokes. I get into my jokes. And the way I describe that is it's a train. You've designed it. You've got some jokes that you know are really good. You know how they go. I'm on the train. Every once in a while, I get off the train. I do some crowd work. What's going on here? Why are you on your phone, ma'am? You drove all the way to the resort and spa and you're on your phone? What is wrong with you? So, so that's how it all comes together. It's just practice more and more and more. Get comfortable, get your set, but be free and loose to bob and weave.
How long does it take to prepare like a 1.5 hour show? I watched an interview with, I think it was Chris Rock or Kevin Hart, and it was like, I thought, what time to practice everything. And I was expecting for a shorter period of time, but I don't know if it's only them or in general, it takes a lot of time.
So what you do is you get up on the clubs like in LA or in New York. You know, somebody asked Chris Rock one time, I want to be a comedian, what should I do? And supposedly he said, move to New York or LA. The reason is you can get on stage 5-10 times a week. Same thing in England and London and those places. You can get on stage 5-10 times a week. If you're getting on stage once a week, you're not going anywhere. If you're getting on stage, you know, once every, like when I tour sometimes, there's, again, I go to, let's say, you know, whatever, Dubai or something. There's some comedians that go, yeah, I get on stage twice a year. I go, well, good luck to you. It's not going to happen. But if you're getting on stage all those times, and when you get on stage in town, in LA, you're getting on stage with all these other headliners, with, you know, Bill Burr and Joe Rogan and Joe Diaz, and all these guys are getting on stage with you, and you're going on after them. So you go up there, you give your best, and you get to perform. Everyone gets 15 to 20 minutes. So in those 15 to 20 minutes, you do maybe, you know, 3/4 is stuff you've done. 1/4 of it is some new stuff you want to try out, and you record it on your phone. Right now, you got it on your phone. Now you're driving around, driving home. You listen to it on your phone. Okay. Now you go to the next club the same night. You work it out. So you keep doing that. 2 sets, you know, between 5 to 10 sets a week. And then eventually, when you have that, you have about an hour worth of material. You start touring around the world with it. And when you tour around the world, sometimes, for example, you'll do a club in, I don't know, Irvine or Houston or wherever. You do 6 or 7 1-hour shows over the weekend. That starts getting better. You're cutting out the fat. It usually takes 1 to 2 years till your set is super strong. And at that point, if you're lucky enough to have a following or you have some sort of relationship with some of these networks, you record it, you put it into a special, you put it on air on Netflix or wherever it is. And that moment when it comes out is also a very, it's a bittersweet moment, because you watch your Netflix special, you go, wow, the world is seeing my Netflix special. And then you go, shit, I need to write new material. They've seen it all. So it's very bittersweet, and it's very different than music, because music, when people go to a concert, they want to hear the musician do all the stuff they know. When they go to a comedy show, if you repeat a joke, they go, I heard that on Netflix one time.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I never thought about it. It's like the magicians that now you can see the tricks on YouTube. I went to watch Dynamo, a magician here, a British magician, a couple of years ago, and I already watched all the tricks. So I thought, well, this is very disappointing. I was expecting for something new. The tricks were very good, but you know, if you already watched it, you want something new. But it's interesting, Katy and Arash. Have you ever watched Maz live?
No, I didn't have a chance. Soon in Italy, Maz.
So we were actually inviting him to last because, as you asked, because I would like to a little bit explain how we get the chance to start to working somehow with Maz and organizing some events, because me and Katy started a collaboration from the beginning of Persian New Year, which called Nowruz. And actually the Nowruz, because I want to also give you some taste of the Iranian culture here. So me and Katy started the first of the our new year, which is the 21st of March, which is the first moment of spring, which is our new year, and it's different. So we decided to start this kind of like talk shows, but in a business field, and create a network between Iranians to like support the small businesses and this stuff. And then our rooms in the clubhouse started to become kind of popular between the businessmen, and then we start to have a guest as a special Persians. And after that, one time, which we had the room, and we had such a huge success for like a week of the event. And I just simply, it was really funny because I posted on Instagram and I tagged Maz and Max Amini, and I said, well, yesterday suddenly we had like a huge list of the famous Iranians, and next time I would like to have like a comedy kind of shows, and I'm expecting to Maz to join us. And funnily, he answered me, so when is the next event? I said, what?
Come on,
Monty.
Maz. Why did you do it, Maz?
Monty, I can't help myself. When people message me, you don't even know. First of all, I'm happy I met these guys. They're beautiful people. I think I have, if I go to therapy, I'm going to talk to my therapist. Why do I have to answer everybody? I answer everybody. Monty, I'm not making this up, okay? When the pandemic hit last year, like I was saying earlier, I thought what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Instagram live shows just to, you know, bring laughter to people. And I said, and I thought to myself, you know, I'm a comedian. I'm Maz Jobrani. I have whatever, hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. This is going to become worldwide. New York Times is going to write about me. Washington Post, Time Magazine. Maz Jobrani saves the world with laughter. I was excited. Monty, the next day, everybody and their grandmother had an Instagram live show. Oh my God. I'm not kidding you. I started getting requests every day. Maz, Instagram live, please. And I couldn't help myself. I kept, I swear to God, I kept replying, sure, what time? When do you want to do it? I did it. I'm not kidding. I did an Instagram live with some guy. I think his name was Hamid from Iran. I don't know exactly his name. Listen, this is how bad I am. The guy sent me a message. Dear Maz, I want to do an interview with you. I clicked on his followers. He had 4 followers. I felt bad. I wrote him back. I said, sure, what time? I swear to God, Monty, I don't know why I do this. I keep saying yes, and I keep going down this rabbit. Now it's with Clubhouse. Everybody has a Clubhouse. Every day I get 10 requests. Somebody goes, you know, we're talking about brain disorders in Bangladesh. Can you join us? I go, why would I join you? So I'm working on not responding to as many people, but these people are beautiful. I'm happy I responded to them.
You know what? Another interesting thing is about comedian and countries, that if I think about stand-up comedians that, let's say, leverage, I don't know if it's the right word in English, but they associate or use as their material their own country for the jokes. There are some very specific ones. So I don't know who is Rustin Peters, the Indian, Ali Wong, Asian. I mean, there are some specific comedians that are very funny and fantastic, but and the country is part of their identity. So it's interesting. I wanted to understand if you had your country in Iran in all of your jokes, or is now just a little part.
It's not all of it. It's with stand-up comedy, they say, talk about your experience. Talk about what you know. What makes you different, right? So you grew up in Italy. So when you go to talk, you might say, oh, in Italy, we did this. My parents did that. Our schools were like this. I'm in Brighton now. Brighton is like this. Talk about your experience. So when I first started, I took a stand-up comedy class, and they said, what makes you different than all the other students here? And really, it came down to I had the Iranian experience in my life. So I started talking about that. Now, what's interesting is, as you go, you start to realize how similar our experiences are, whether you're Iranian or Chinese or Indian or Armenian or Italian, I don't care. A lot of our experiences can be similar. So I'll give you an example. This is when I realized that for me, I stopped saying just my Iranian parents this, my Iranian parents that. I started saying my immigrant parents this, immigrant parents that. This was in America. I used to do a joke where I said my grandmother used to put all of her money in her bra. And I said, we thought we thought she was a D cup until one day when we went to buy a house and she pulled the down payment out of her bra, and we realized she's actually an A cup. And then we looked closer and we realized she was grandpa. So that's the joke. It's a silly joke, but the basis of the joke is that my Iranian grandmother keeping her money in her bra. Well, as I was doing this joke, I looked in the audience, and this was at the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles. There was two Latina girls, who were falling out of their seat with laughter. And I go, oh my God, Mexican grandmothers keep their money in their bra. Then I told the story to another friend. He goes, yeah, my grandmother. So I realized, a lot of grandmothers. So what happens is eventually you realize no matter where you go, I mean, I've performed Australia, Scandinavia, Singapore, Jakarta. When I went to Jakarta, there was 2 Iranians in an audience of 500 people, 2 Iranians, 2 Americans. The rest were Indonesian. And they were laughing. They were getting it because I was talking about my kids. I was talking about my wife. I was talking about my parents, but their parents are similar to my parents. So ultimately, I think that you start by talking about your culture, but you realize how much in common it is.
So there are some common things, I imagine, sex or relationships. This is universal.
Mothers, fathers, because you think about it, like, I don't know how I know how Italians are because when I lived in Italy, Italian mothers feed you. They keep feeding you, right? It's like more, mangia.
Mangia, tira giù.
Yeah, so the same thing with like Iranian mothers, the same thing with Jewish mothers, the same thing with, all these parents eat, or they want you to be, devi essere un dottore, avvocato, or engineer, right? They all, these things are in common. So when you talk about it, people laugh. Or nowadays, and this is again, I think, because the other thing I talk about is the way I was raised and the way I'm raising my kids. So the way I was raised was very traditional, not religious traditional, but it was very much like, I won't say traditional, it was very hands off. It was very laissez-faire. So they would just say, go play, go figure it out, just do it. Now, modern day parenting, you have to spend quality time with your kids, right? Hey, buddy, what do you want to do? You want to go play catch? Let's go play catch. You want to do, or if like the kid gets in trouble, you read enough books, they say if the kid gets in trouble, don't yell at the kid. Ask the kid why they think they got in trouble. Let them get in. I mean, it's crazy. So modern day parenting is very different no matter where you are in the world. When you talk about modern day parenting, parents relate, like back then, like I do it. This is another joke I do. The joke I used to do is I said, when my kids go to school, I said, I put them in a private school because I thought that meant that I would pay and they would take them. But no. They actually, when you go for the interview, they go, are you willing to be involved in your child's education? I go, I thought I was paying you to be involved in my child's education, And then I talk about all the days. They keep coming up with themes. I don't know about you guys, Monty. Every day I get like 10 emails. Tomorrow is grandfather day. Tomorrow is mommy and hot dog day. Tomorrow is daddy donut day. Every day. I'm like, am I in school or are they in school? Yeah. And then I think about when I was a kid. This is so true. My parents never came to my school. They would show up twice a semester, look at my artwork, and be disappointed. That was it, So when you do that around the world, I think we're all in the same experience. So it all translates like that.
Is exactly like that on private school. Arash?
Yeah, because the Maz opened the subject, which Kathy, I'm seeing Kathy is just playing with her kid in these days, and oh my God, I would like to hear her experience with the little Ariana about this. And what do you think?
It's too much.
But where do you live now? You live in
I'm living in Como now.
Tell me again.
Como,
North Italy.
Como. By the way, I lived in Como for 1.5 years in front of the lake.
Yeah, Mia, we have a beautiful lake view here also.
It's a beautiful city to live in if you are 85. But
Well, no, actually, if you come back from China, living there 9 years, like Como is the best place to live. Actually,
yes.
I think my mental age is 85 years old now after living in China.
And
Yeah.
you have a little one? You have a...
Yeah, I have a girl, 1.5 years. Yeah.
Oh, I see,
So
I see.
actually, we came to Italy with my husband to give a birth to my daughter. Then we got stuck here because pandemic started. So we left basically everything behind: house, car, office. Actually, I'm doing smart working with China, and I'm entrepreneur. I started my company in China when I was 26 years old, and I'm I'm doing B2B still, and in industrial world, equipping factories, like industrial lifting equipment and this kind of stuff. As crazy is a long story as well, because I'm coming from a very traditional family and culture, actually, that women never get to this stuff. So
Right.
I was fighting and managed to do it. I started up my company, and I got accepted in executive MBA in one really good school, like Halt Business School is the American school. Then it's a long story short. So I met my husband, and so we have a baby. I came to give a birth. I got her stuck here, which is really beautiful place. I'm happy. So
And your husband is Italian.
yes.
So the first rule, remember, never marry an Italian. That's rule number one. I mean.
No, actually, we have really a lot in common. When I married Dario, actually, I got to know how much we have in common with Italian. I mean, very family oriented. Actually, we Iranian, we are very family oriented, and Italian are the same. And this supporting they receive from the family. Actually, I got stuck here in pandemic. No friends, no one. So basically, me and my baby, and the support I received from my swachero was amazing. I mean, otherwise I was ended up in a hospital, I think.
and do you also Iranian people talk with hands and
of course.
But actually, I got a lot of effect of my Italian side as well. Yeah, we also use a lot of hand mass, right?
Listen, I think I agree with Kathy in that when I went to Italy, so I left Iran late 1978, grew up in Northern California, and when I was in college in 1991, that's when I went to Italy, 91 and 92. And the whole time I was in America, from the time I came from Iran to America, I never felt American enough, and I never felt Iranian enough. I felt in between. And then when I went to Italy, I swear to God, I was like, this is the most I've ever felt close to my people. Because as you said, you guys talk like this, we talk like this. You bargain, negotiate at the market, we bargain, negotiate at the market. You don't listen to traffic laws. I'm talking about the south of Italy. We don't listen to traffic laws. So there's a lot of commonalities between the cultures. And I think it's a beautiful thing. It's very Mediterranean, you know?
It is. In Naples once, I'm originally from Milan, so north. And once I went to Naples, and there was a traffic light with a poster handwritten. And on the poster close to the traffic light was written, when the light is red, you have to stop. Because they would never stop, you know? They just go, they drive, and that's it.
There's no rules. No, this has happened to me. This happened one time in Iran, and one time it happened to me in Dubai. There's no rules. We were on the freeway. We had a driver. The guy's going. He missed the exit. Rather than going to the next exit and coming back and trying again, he put it in reverse on the freeway, started going backwards. And that is the scariest moment of your life. You don't look back. You just look forward. You go, okay, if I look back, I know I'm going to, just have a heart attack. So I'm just going to look forward. And this guy, no big deal, probably smoking a cigarette. He's like, don't worry, I got it. So it's similar to Naples and these places. There's no rules.
When I moved here, I moved to Rome first. I lived 1.5 years in Rome, which is another interesting city to live, I would say. Very original approach to law and rules. And then I moved here to Brighton. And I remember the first time I arrived here, I want to cross the road and I see a car that is coming. And I used to roam, I wait until the car pass, even if I'm on the, how do you say in English, le strisce pedonali?
The crosswalk.
Crosswalk.
Yeah.
And instead, this guy stopped like 10 meters and say, please, like, you go. And I look very suspicious because I think you want to trick me, But I walk and then you go. I was there. No, you go. What do you want? So in Italian now, we are always suspicious. If they come to ring at my door, I open the door sometimes and I say, no, I don't want anything. And I close the door. This is my instinct. And then my wife comes and say, look, it's the neighbor. Why did you close the door? You want to deliver a cake? I said, the cake, it's crazy.
They're so polite. One of the things I saw in England that was interesting to me was the traffic cop, or the guy was standing on the corner. And if somebody was going too fast, he would go, hey, pull over. And the guy would pull over. And I go, that's it? You just stand on the corner and wave them down? Because in America, if the guy's going fast, it becomes a helicopter car chase. The cops show up. Woo, it's crazy. In England, they're like, hey, cheerio, pull over right there. And I go, they're so polite. It's crazy, man.
What's the situation now with wait. First, I was curious about this. You mentioned Joe Rogan. By the way, he's having a huge success with his podcast, like crazy success. And he also has success as a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
My question is the following. If you go to perform in one club, and there are like, 5 stand-up comedians, if you come after like Joe Rogan or Chris Rock, that they are huge, and is it better because they already warmed up the audience, or is it worse because after it's harder?
I'll give you a couple of stories. So first of all, Joe Rogan, when I started at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles in the year 2000 or 99, Joe Rogan was already one of the strong comedians there. He'd already been on TV shows and stuff, and his career was taking off. He's a friend of mine. He's a great guy. And he's always been a strong comedian. And he's also a high-energy comedian. That's the other thing you got to remember. So the Comedy Store is the most amazing place in the world because when you first become a regular at the Comedy Store, Mitzi Shore, who was the owner of the Comedy Store, she passed away recently, she would put you up at midnight after the biggest comedians, and you'd be waiting there to go up at midnight, and then a famous comedian would walk in and they would say, I want to go next. So they'd come to you, you're new, they would say, hey Maz, Andrew Dice Clay is going to do an hour and then you can go. Oh, okay. What time does the club close? It closes at 2. Okay, so he's going to go till 1? Yes. Okay, you look at the audience, there's 15 people left. Okay, maybe they stay. Andrew Dice Clay goes on, he does an hour. You're about to go on, somebody else walks in. I want to go next. Okay, Maz, Martin Lawrence is going to go up. He's going to do half an hour. What time does the club close? 2 o'clock. Okay, so I go up at 1:30? Yeah. There's only 3 people left. That's fine. Hang on. Monty, you wait till I swear to God, I went up a couple times at 1:45 in the morning with one guy. There was one guy in the audience and I'm doing my jokes. And then he started yelling back like punchline ideas. And then I look closer. I go, Johnny, what do you do? I knew the guy. I go, what are you doing here? I try to support you. I go, we could go in the kitchen and talk. Why am I on stage? So you learn from those experiences how to deal with it. So one thing I've learned, this is very important for any comedian. When you follow another comedian, whether they were good or bad, you need to comment on something that just happened. You need to comment on them, whatever that is. Again, to let the audience know you're in the room and let them also transition from that person to you. So I don't know if you're familiar with Joe Diaz. Joe Diaz is someone who was on Rogan's show a lot. He's got his own podcast. He's a friend of mine. He's one of the funniest guys out there. He talks like this, Joey Diaz, how you doing? Hey. And he's from Jersey and says the funniest, craziest stuff. So one time I followed him in a hot room at the Comedy Store, and I didn't do the thing of commenting on what he just did. I went right into my act, and it was the longest 15 minutes of my life because people were moving. He blew the place up with how well he did. And now I walk up in the middle of people walking around, and I'm going, "Hey, how's it going? My grandmother puts her money in her bra." People are like, "Who the hell are you?" So you learn to comment. So for example, I did 2 experiences I had at the Comedy Store. One time, Eddie Murphy he still hasn't come back yet.
But he should come back. He declared that he probably is coming back no?
We want him to come. Eddie Murphy is the reason I did comedy. And I love like Eddie Murphy. When I was a kid, he was my comedy hero. And there was a period, maybe like 10 years ago at the Comedy Store. Comedy Store has 3 rooms, okay? Eddie Murphy was coming on Tuesday nights to the big room where it was called, I think it was called Trippin' on Tuesday. It was a black comedy night. He would come, he would sit in the center booth in the whole room, and he would watch all these hilarious comedians just killing. Meanwhile, that same night, there's 3 rooms. I'm performing in one of the side rooms. It's called the original room, where you try out material, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the owner of the club, Mitzi Shore, her son is Pauly Shore, who a lot of people know Pauly Shore. Pauly from back in the 80s knows Eddie Murphy because he's been at the club forever. So he knows Eddie. So Pauly is performing also in the same room I'm performing in. So he walks over to the big room, goes over to Eddie. He goes, "Hey, Eddie, how you doing? What's up, Pauly? Good to see you. Hey, Eddie, I'm about to do my set in the other room. Will you come watch?" Eddie's, friends with Pauly. "Sure, I'll come watch." Eddie comes, sits in the back. He's watching Pauly. I'm next. So I'm sitting there watching Pauly. I'm watching Eddie watch Pauly. And this is my comedy hero. It's like I'm watching Jesus, watching comedy. I'm sitting there, oh my God, Eddie. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, if Pauly finishes, Eddie stays, he brings me up. Eddie's going to see me. This is maybe I become friends with Eddie Murphy. This is going to be great. Towards the end of Pauly's set, Eddie gets up, walks out of the room, goes back to the other room before Pauly finishes. The room is really dark. Pauly doesn't see Eddie leave. So Pauly goes, this is now, Eddie Murphy hasn't done stand-up in 25 years at this point. And there's been rumors of him coming back. Pauly goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, now that I'm done, I just got to say there's a very special guest in the room. The room's so dark, he hasn't seen him leave yet. Very special guest in the room. He's one of the gods of comedy. He's here tonight. We've been waiting for 25 years for him to come back. He's going to do his comeback here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Murphy." The crowd, ah! I'm in the back. I'm going, oh shit, Eddie's not here. What's Pauly doing? Pauly waits. It quiets down. No Eddie. Pauly goes, "Eddie, come on. I introduce you." Nothing. Eddie? Crickets. Pauly starts talking to the staff. "Hey guys, where's Eddie?" The staff goes, "He went back to the other room." He goes, "Well, go get him. These guys want to see him." The poor guy, the staff, he runs to the other room. He comes back. He goes, "I told him to come." He goes, "What did he say?" He goes, "No, he's not coming." So now the crowd is expecting to see Eddie Murphy. So then Pauly goes, "Oh, shit. Okay, well, who's next?" He goes, "Maz." He goes, "Okay, Maz, okay. Welcome to the stage, Maz." I go up. This is where you have to be present. I go up. I go, "Guys, you think I'm happy to be here?" I go, "I was so excited. I was in the back waiting for Eddie Murphy. And then I got me." I go, "I'm so disappointed right now." I go, "I feel like we're in a nightclub and we all were talking to the most beautiful girl. And then we just watched her walk out and the lights came up and the only option left is me." So now they're laughing because they know I know. You see what I'm saying? And that's how you follow these guys. You have to comment on what just happened, or else you're dead.
I love it. That was so interesting. And who are the best for you, apart from Eddie Murphy? I mean, the stand-up comedians that you look at and think, wow, this guy really understand and get it and as something different.
Well, again, being a fan of Eddie's, since he had Coming to America 2 out recently, I listened to a lot of his interviews, and one thing he said, this got a lot of truth. He said in the mid 70s to early 80s, when he was starting stand-up comedy, he said there was maybe like, I don't know, 500 or 1,000 comedians making a living around the country. Now there's thousands and thousands, and they're all over the world. And so I always tell people, I go, whatever, go watch a clip and then watch the next clip and the next clip. And there's so many funny people from, you've got your Bill Burr to, let's say, Gina Yashire, who's actually a Nigerian British comedian, to Tiffany Haddish, to Godfrey, to, Dave Chappelle. To me, Dave Chappelle is at the top of the game, because for me, in all honesty, if you can say if you can have a message underneath your jokes, if there's a social or political message. So I started as a fan of Eddie Murphy's, but I quickly started listening a lot more to Richard Pryor, because he did a lot of political and social stuff. So if I can make a political or social commentary and make you laugh, that's other level. So I every night, for example, I religiously watch the monologue that Stephen Colbert does on his Late Show with Stephen Colbert Show. So it's the list is too long, but there's so many funny, amazing. Sebastian Maniscalco, he's an Italian American. I started with Sebastian. We started together in at the Comedy Store, and now Sebastian, like a couple years ago, he sold out Madison Square Gardens like 4 times, 5 times. It was crazy. But I tell people, I go, there was a time when I would go to Sebastian. I say, Sebastian, I found a show for us to do. It's an hour drive, and they'll give us a free salmon dinner. He goes, I'm in, let's go. That was what we were doing the show for.
How do you do with social media to find fresh jokes? Because I give an example. I do a lot of videos where I talk about boring stuff, business, marketing, blah, blah, blah. But I do a lot of videos, and sometimes, I want to find a good example, or I want to deliver my idea and give you, I don't know, a nice example, say something different. And then I deliver, and then maybe someone in the comments say, oh, yeah, but already this guy said that, used the same idea. And I said, shit, I thought it was really original. How do you find your unique way of saying something?
First of all, people on social media are assholes. Let me just say that right off the bat.
They are.
No, there's a lot of nice people, but the people who make the comments, I swear to God, I agree with you 100%, because they're like the police, and they say the stupidest shit. And it's like, listen, I'm trying my best. First of all, my comment to some people when they're on social media, they complain. I go, dude, you're following me. You can unfollow me. Just don't follow. I don't, that's not the end of my world. Number one. Number two, you get into a rhythm, right? You find things. So everyone tells me you got to be consistent, drop on a Wednesday, drop on a Thursday. Like I have a podcast, Back to School with Maz Jobrani. I drop that every Tuesday. Okay. Then I try to do like Throwback Thursday, Fallback, Flashback, whatever the hell it is. And then the funny stuff for me, sometimes like now, for example, on Instagram, they say Reels is the place to be, right? So sometimes it comes to you. Sometimes you look for it. Like the other day, I posted this on my Reels, and it was fun. So my wife bought us this foot massager, and you just put your foot on it, and it's these red balls, and they go in circle, and your foot's on there just getting massaged. And it felt so good, Monty. As I was watching my feet be massaged, I started singing the old Lionel Richie, Diana Ross, Endless Love. It was like, my love, there's only you in my life. So I'm thinking to myself, I go, oh, this could be a funny Reels. So I film it, and this is where your mind comes in. I go, okay, so the way the song works, Lionel Richie sings, and about 20 seconds in, Diana Ross starts singing. So what I did was I put my right foot on the massage thing, and it's going with Lionel Richie. And when Diana Ross comes in, I put my other foot, and now they're going together. And I just posted that on Reels, and I said, I said something like, is it weird to fall in love with my foot massager? Yeah. And that was it. And then you look, and it's got 100,000 views. That's it. So you stumble upon it, and you don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like I try not to read the comments because I know I'm going to run into somebody who's going to piss me off, and then I'm going to spend time arguing with them And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to put it out there. And the ones that say good things, I love you. The ones that say bad things, I don't know what to tell you. Go see a therapist.
Arash, Katy, when do we do an event? As soon as the pandemic is gone and it's possible to do an event, we have to do a good event in Italy, also with Maz, and have really some good fun. Mixing Iran and Italy, this crazy two wars that are so similar, and do something really cool.
Actually, this is the idea which we started an association which called Associazione Internazionale Relazione Internazionale Iran e Italia, which with this association we are trying and we hope to organize exactly this kind of events and do this kind of works which we can somehow, because the similarity of our culture and Italians are really too much, and we can really feel, and that's the reason which myself, I went to Germany to study like the PhD of computational oncology in the best university of the Hannover Medical School. After 6 months, I said, no, this is not the place. I need to go back to Italy. And so this is the reason which we would love to do this kind of events. And we already invited Maz, and we will invite him more to actually have a kind of event here and just see him even live. So we
That
never.
would be fantastic. Maz, we have to do a tour, Italian Brighton, you know?
Listen,
Italy to Brighton.
I am in 100%. So this is what happened. So the past 10 years, whenever I've gone to Europe, I've done the Scandinavian countries and England because they speak English. Well, last time I was in Europe, maybe 2 years ago, I decided to do a show in Paris. Do you know Gad Elmaleh? You know Gad?
No.
Gad Elmaleh is like, they call him this Jerry Seinfeld of France. He's huge over there. So he's a friend of mine. He said, listen, I have a theater in Paris. You can come do a show. And in all honesty, I was a little scared, or wary, I should say, because I thought, oh, the French aren't going to speak English well enough to understand. But I did a show in Paris, and it was the most amazing experience because the people who came all spoke English good enough to get the show. So I am dying. Let me say I'm dying to do a show in Italy where I can do the show mostly in English, some Italian, hopefully say the right word for head, testa. And I'm in, man. Tell me and I'll be there.
But I think it will be easier for you because you can also make all the jokes, Iranian jokes, because they will feel, because we have very much similarity, and you just need to do the Iranian jokes and Italian. Oh, this is us, and just you
kill it. Maz is your country, is your perfect ideal country. Yeah. Fantastic, guys. We have to leave Maz that he has to perform 27 shows only today. Your agenda is crazy. It was such a big pleasure, Maz. You are fantastic, and Katy, Arash, was really nice to meet you. And bye to everyone following on Clubhouse, and let's keep in touch. And viva l'Iran, viva l'Italia.
Yes, Monty, thank you for having us. Ci vediamo.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.